welcome back to the Me Podcast with your host, Daniel Bryant. In today's episode, we have a special guest, Haleigh Lawson, a freshman at App State. Haleigh was a student that I met at the annual AIM conference for the Department of Public Instruction, and I was really amazed by her story that she shared at the conference and all the things that she's doing. So without further ado, let me add her to the call.
Hi.
All right, hey Haleigh, how you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing good. It was a pleasure meeting you at the AIM conference and hearing your story and all the great things that you've been doing. I definitely wanted you to have you on my podcast to really share to all of my viewers the great things that you've been doing.
Well, thank you. I found your story much more moving than mine, and I'm very honored to be here today.
Definitely. So let's go ahead and get started with those questions. And my first question, I always start off, especially when I'm talking to college students, and I want you to go in depth to all of my viewers. Why did you choose Appalachian State University? And then what went into you choosing your major as well?
Okay, so I am from Boone, North Carolina, which is where App State's located for anyone that doesn't know. And so all of my family lives here, with the exception of a couple, hour or two away. And I really wanted to stay close to my family. During high school, I had the opportunity to dual enroll with our local community college. And so I'm actually a junior, technically, at App, even though I'm a first year student. And so I knew I have like 3 semesters left, and I've been there for 2. So I really only have about 2 years at App. So I wanted to stay close to my family while I knew that I could. Also, my major is business management. I love working with people. I want to own my own business one day. I'm like entrepreneurship oriented, like that is in my blood. And I want to own my own business. I'm not sure doing what, but I'm very passionate about being my own boss and leading people. Most of my opportunities that I took part of in high school were leadership opportunities because that's something I'm super passionate about. And so I felt like business management really channeled that. And Walker College of Business at App State, I believe, is number 6 in the state for business colleges. So it just seemed perfect to stay home close to my family and also go to an amazing business school. So that's why.
Well, definitely. I definitely agree because I'm also a business. I also study in business management as well. So anything with business, I love it.
Me too.
Me being able to connect with, my friends and other people when it's regarding their businesses and my business, it definitely, inspires me and invigorates me to continue to do those type of things because, being an entrepreneur, yes, there's some, trials and tribulations with it, but then there's also so many perks and so many great things that come with that, with that title of being an entrepreneur, being your own boss. So I definitely, can concur with you on some of your points on why you chose business management and your dream of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
Definitely. And so that moves me kind of into my next point because you talked about some of the things that you're doing on campus. And I know you're heavily involved in some great things. And I want you to kind of talk about your great work that you've done as a student rep and on the board of ed.
So I was a student representative on the Board of Education my junior and senior year of high school, the local Watauga County Board of Education. And basically my job was representing students, K-12 students. On a monthly basis, me and the other student rep, there was 2 of us that had to apply and we got the position. And basically what happened was we went to all the K schools, and we were located at the high school, so we got to talk with students there. But we went to all the K schools, we met with small groups of students, and we really just heard from them, which was really rewarding because I was able to be an ear for someone. And I vividly remember whenever I was in 6th grade, the student rep at the time coming to our classroom and talking to us, and I felt heard and like, someone was listening to me because the Board of Education is like a huge deal. They make a lot of decisions. And so it was nice that I had someone come and talk to me about talking to them pretty much. And so it was a really cool opportunity. I wanted to do that for other students. And so it was a great leadership opportunity. And I had the pleasure of working with the superintendent, all the Board of Education members. I delivered monthly reports about what was going on with the students and addressing their concerns and everything like that. One of the most rewarding experiences through that was during COVID. I was obviously a student rep, and a lot of students reached out to me because there was a petition made not to go online at the end of the school year because they thought that it wouldn't be beneficial. And then there was also students reaching out to me that said they would rather go online because they were concerned for their health. And so that was really a challenging experience for me because I had to equally, represent both sides of, opinions in the high school and stuff like that. And it was really cool because I got to be in on some of those decisions, not making the decisions, but helping relay student opinions and just really represent them. So it was a really cool opportunity. I'm super thankful for that experience.
Well, definitely. I'm actually inspired by that because especially I think it's so important that our voices are heard as students, right? Sometimes it gets lost in the sauce, like I like to say.
Oh,
but
yeah.
Especially with those big time decisions, and even as a student rep, you just being in that room or being on that call, just hearing those decisions being made, that develops you so much, and that gives you that experience that maybe one day you're making the decisions. And so I think it's important that we have student representation, someone that's willing to listen to the students' voices and their opinions, because they are of value, especially when it comes to big decisions like that, online versus in person. I think that's important. I'm glad that you took that on, especially because I know that could be hard to juggle as a student yourself too, having to juggle two opinions, because they both have pros and cons to both. I know that could be hard and challenging, but you took that on and you were a leader for that. And that shows really great qualities. And you to train on to my next questions about more of your involvement, right? And I want you to kind of talk about what is a peer group your peer group connections and kind of your involvement in that.
So Peer Group Connections was a class at the high school that I went to that you had to apply to. And in that class, we went on a retreat and we really focused on the connections that we had with each other. I spoke about this at the conference, but we have 8 K-8 schools in our county, and then there's 1 comprehensive high school, so it's pretty large. And so our job as peer group connectors, if you will, was we had another mentor with us, like another student, one of our peers, and we pretty much mentored small groups of freshmen. And so it just created a sense of community within our high school because it was pretty large. And so we talked with them, we met with them once a week, like we developed kind of lessons for them and how to navigate life. We became very vulnerable with each other because we were with each other for the whole year. And we were also doing that in our class. So what we did with our class is what we did with our small group of freshmen. It was just a really cool experience because we got to connect with students on a whole nother level. We were juniors, they were freshmen. And so it kind of created less of a divide between grades, which was really nice. And it just created a nice sense of family and community within our school, which I think is really important.
Definitely. I definitely agree with that point of, it's important that you have a connection between all grade levels, right? Because, especially for incoming freshmen, I remember, me going into high school at Enloe High School. That school seemed so big. And It was like walking into this school, not knowing a lot of people, not knowing my way around, how do I get to classes and stuff like that, or even how to navigate as a high school student. Because that jump from middle school to high school is totally different, just like high school to college is totally different. And so having that connection between upperclassmen and underclassmen is important that that they have that. So they have that resource of, I can rely on that person for information, or just someone I can connect with that has been through what I'm about to go through.
Right.
That's so important to, our development and our growth as students. And I'm definitely glad that my high school, I was able to be a leader, not only for my grade level, but then even the people under me through athletics. I was able to be someone that, people could rely on for information or anything of that nature. So I think that's very important that, we have those people in place like that, peer group connections.
I agree.
Definitely. And so now I want you to continue to go on some more of the stuff that you've been involved with. And that goes into talking about your roles that you played in as a pioneer ambassador. So just kind of talk about that and what that means.
Yeah, so it's very similar to what you were just saying, actually. Pioneer Ambassadors was a fairly large group of students in the high school. They were all sophomores to seniors. And you had to actually be nominated, which was an honor because it's a huge leadership position in our school. And so Pioneer Ambassadors helped with the transition from 8th grade to high school. So I came from the smallest school in the county with a population of 180 students into our high school that had 1,400 students. And I remember those Pioneer Ambassadors that were there at freshman orientation, that were there on the first day of class in case you got lost. It just helped the transition be so much smoother. And so I was very honored to be a part of that group as well. And so we just made sure that freshmen had what they needed coming in. So we helped giving tours to students on the first day of class. We walked around the halls, making sure that no students were lost on the first day of school. We worked freshman orientation so that students could meet us. And it was just a really rewarding opportunity because I remember how it felt for me. And so I wanted to make that transition smoother for other students as well. So it was just like what you were saying, how it also created a sense of community within our high school, between the grade levels as well, because we got to, spend time with a freshman and kind of see them as, in the halls and say, hey, I remember you. And so It created a familiar face type thing also, which was really nice.
That's definitely, I love that point because, I remember sometimes at freshmen, you look at the upperclassmen, they kind of scared and you kind of scared of them. You kind of, just trying to figure out where your class is. But it's good to see a familiar face. You can say what's up to an upperclassman or to someone that, has helped you along the way. So that's definitely good. And I'm glad that you were able to do that.
Yeah.
And so that kind of moves me into my final point. What is some of your best advice from a college student to high school students? What is some of your best advice that you would give to a high school student regarding getting involved in organizations?
So I think that my best advice would be join everything that you can, whether you like it or not, because there were some things I did that. What I did was I joined things that, not all of my friends were in and stuff like that. Just to see if I was interested. And some of the things I didn't keep up with, I, went to the first meeting of a club and I didn't enjoy it. I didn't think it was something that, I really was meant for. And so I stopped. And then I still had other opportunities to rely on, like the other things that I had applied for or went to. And so I think that having a lot of options when it comes to opportunities, I think that's something that sometimes kids take for granted, is all the opportunities that they have. People look at me and they're like, oh, you're so successful. And, oh, you did so much in high school, but it's not really like I'm different than anyone else. I'm not at all. Every student that I went to school with had the same exact opportunities that I had. And so I just found them, I took them, and I ran with them. And I think that's so important because it can get you so far. And so, my peers that I go to college with that, were from my hometown, some, we're in different places and we're no different. I just took an opportunity and I ran with it. And I think something else is, if you don't find something that you're interested in, ask someone how you can create it. That was a big thing at Watauga for us, was anyone was allowed to create any club that they wanted. I never created a club. However, I had friends that created clubs and I got to see the process. You have a teacher who pretty much sponsored the club and you would meet in their classroom and stuff like that. So I think that's really important to note, that if it's not there, create it. I think that it's, obviously the clubs that are in place now, or organizations or activities that are in place now, are because someone created them before. So I think that, it's important that students know that they have the ability to create something, or something that they're passionate about, and then it can, continue on. I think that's really important. But I would say just finding an opportunity, taking it and running with it, seeing all of your options, and just being open to new ideas would be my best advice.
That's probably some of the best advice that I've heard, because just like you, there's so many opportunities out here, so many options. But if you don't weigh out your options, and if you don't, take advantage of saying, hey, I'm in high school, I have so many things at my disposal, right? I have a school that's gifting me opportunities to be able to be in clubs and stuff like that. That is so, rewarding. And right, once your 4 years are up in high school, there's no, promise that you'll go to college for another 4 years of school or another 2 years of school.
Right.
So while you're in public school, take advantage of every opportunity your school provides, because that's just, you taking advantage of yourself. That's maximizing your opportunity, right? Don't just go to class, just go to class and go home, go to class and go home. Take advantage of those extra opportunities your school provides. And like you said, create. That's where your entrepreneurial mind comes in, right? See that there's right? You see a gap, right? You see something that, hey, I don't really, vibe any of the clubs that are here right now, but start thinking, start trying to create, that have that critical thinking and say, hey, what is something that I do enjoy doing, right? Because I'm sure that there's some other student at this school that enjoys the same things that I do. And how can I create it in the format of a club or of an organization that can, cater to multiple students, and we can create something that's more of like a family atmosphere for so many students, and your club and organization will live on well after you leave that school. And so that's the power I think each student has, especially in public education, right? Yeah. And public education is usually required, or you're going to go to K through 12, right? You don't have to go to college. You don't have to go to post high school. You go to workforce. You can do so many different things after public school. But while you're there, use those resources. Use your teachers. Ask your teachers questions. Your teachers have been through those things that you've been going through right now. Your teachers have so much experience and so much wealth of knowledge. Same as your administration. Ask questions. Don't be afraid to be able to do things and create things, because like I said, these are your precious years. I always think that, especially when I was in high school, I wish that I joined a couple more things, just a little bit, some more organizations or some more clubs that I could have in place just to further develop myself when I was in high school. And I often think back at it. And so I often tell high school students, get involved, just sign up for stuff. Even if your friends aren't doing it, even if they say, nah, I don't think I like that, you try it out. You be an advocate of your own success. You be an advocate of your own growth. And I think that's important for all high school students to know.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I like the advocacy piece of that you noted, that, like I went to clubs that my friends didn't go to and stuff like that. And, obviously it set us apart. Like I said, I took advantage of the opportunities and I just ran with them. And that's why I feel like I've been successful and had so many opportunities that I'm very thankful for. But like you said, even though I was a part of a lot of things, I do still wish that I was involved in some more opportunities. So, I just encourage other students to get involved. So
definitely. Well, Haleigh, I want to say thank you for being a part of this podcast and giving your piece, your experience, everything that you've been through, and some knowledge back for some people behind you for the future generations. So I thank you for being a part of the Me podcast, and I wish the best wishes towards your future endeavors.
Thank you, Daniel, so much for having me. It was an honor.
All right, thank you. Well, guys, this was a wonderful episode of the Me podcast. I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, you can stay updated on all Me news at www.findourme.com. Like I said, that's www.findourme.com. And like always, stay motivated and stay empowered.